Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So this is the chapter 16. It's a chapter after the cauliflower robbery, if you recall. So now chapter 16, Outwitting the Stars. Mukunda, why don't you get an astrological omelette? Should I, master? I don't believe in astrology. It is never a question of belief. The only scientific attitude one can take on any subject, whether is whether it is true. The law of gravitation worked as efficiently before Newton as after him. The cosmos would be fairly chaotic if its laws could not operate without the sanctum of human belief. Charlatans have brought the stellar science to its present state of disrepute. Astrology is too vast, both mathematically and philosophically, to be rightly grasped except by men of profound understanding. If ignoramuses misread the heavens and see that there is a scroll instead of a script that is to be expected in this imperfect world, one should not dismiss the wisdom with the wise. So, as Guruji used to say, that astrology is accurate. What astrologers do, they read your horoscope. They can read if you go to a good astrologer. However, he said, मैं वो astrology पढ़ते हैं, they read, and I change your horoscope. So they read your horoscope, I change your horoscope. So that is the difference. So is करके कहने से इधर उधर जान दी लोड़ नहीं. This is in Guruji's context, of course. All parts of creation are linked together and interchange their influences. The balanced rhythm of the universe is rooted in reciprocity. My Guru continued, man in his human aspect has to combat two sets of forces. First, the tumults within his being, caused by the admixture of earth, water, fire, and ethereal elements. Second, the outer disintegrating powers of nature. So long as man struggles with his mortality, he is affected by the myriad mutations of heaven and earth. Astrology is a study on man's response to planetary stimuli. The stars have no conscious benevolence or animosity. They merely send forth positive and negative radiations. Of themselves, these do not help or harm humanity, but offer a lawful channel for the outward operation of cause-effect equilibriums which each man has set into motion in the past. A child is born on that day and at that hour when the celestial rays are in mathematical harmony with his individual karma. His horoscope is a challenging portrait, revealing his unalterable past and his probable future results. But the natal chart can be rightly interpreted only by men of intuitive wisdom, and these are very few. So it's again resonates with what Guruji used to say. Of course, there are good astrologers, but there are very few. And they are the few that are full of wisdom and accuracy. They are not commercial. So the message boldly blazoned across the heavens at the moment of birth is not meant to emphasize fate, the result of past good and evil, but to arouse man's will to escape from his universal thraldom. What he has done, he can undo. None other than himself was the instigator of the causes of whatever effects are now prevalent in his life. He can overcome any limitation because he created it by his own actions in the first place. And because he has spiritual resources which are not subject to planetary pressure. So it's so beautiful. See, we are born under certain stars, under certain planets, according to the karmas. And there are limitations in our lives, and there are struggles due to the planetary positions in our lives. But when we become spiritual, We are not bound by those planetary positions, because when we do Om Namah Shivaya, Shivji Sabasai, like Guruji said, "Main tode lekh badal dena." So by reciting the mantra jap and living in his hukam, we kind of mitigate the effects of those planetary positions in our lives, which have been created again by our own karma. Superstitions or of astrology makes one an automaton, slavishly dependent on mechanical guidance. The wise man defeats his planets, which is to say his past, by transferring his allegiance from the creation to the creator. The more he realizes his unity with spirit, the less he can be dominated by matter. This is so beautiful, because when we deepen our connect with Guruji and we allow him to literally take over our lives, then the effects of anything outer, whether it's superstition, whether it's planetary positions, it mitigates, no doubt, because we become one with the Holy Spirit. And then we are less dominated by matter. The soul is ever free. It is deathless because it's birthless. It cannot be regimented by stars. Man is a soul and has a body. When he properly places his sense of identity, he leaves behind all compulsive patterns. So long as he remains confused in his ordinary state of spiritual amnesia, he will know the subtle fetters of environmental law. God is harmony. The devotee who attunes himself will never perform any action amiss. So his activities will be correctly and naturally timed to accord with astrological law. After deep prayer and meditation, he's in touch with his divine consciousness. There is no greater power than that inward protection. Again, this, when we are in harmony with Guruji's energy, when we are in tune with the Shabad Gurbani, and we are calm, then nothing on the outside can touch us, because we are in that divine conscious state. And there is no greater power than that inward protection where Guruji sits in our heart. Then, dear master, why do you want me to wear an astrological bangle? I ventured this question after a long silence, during which I tried to assimilate Sri Yukteswara's noble exposition. It is only when a traveler has reached his goal that he is justified in discarding his maps. During the journey, he takes advantage of any convenient shortcut. The ancient rishis discovered many ways to curtail the period of man's exile in delusion. There are certain mechanical features in the law of karma which can be skillfully adjusted by the fingers of wisdom. All human ills arise from some transgression of universal law. The scriptures point out that man must satisfy the laws of nature while not discrediting the divine omnipotence. He should say, Lord, I trust in thee, and know thou can help me, but I too will do my best to undo any wrong I have done. So this is so important to understand this. I'm going to read this again. All human ills arise from some transgression of universal law. The scriptures point out that man must satisfy the laws of nature while not discrediting the divine omnipotence. He should say, Lord, I trust in thee, and know thou canst help me, but I too will do my best to undo any wrong I have done. By a number of means, by prayer, by willpower, by yoga meditation, by consultation with saints, by use of astrological bangles, the adverse effects of past wrongs can be minimized or nullified. So again, when I remember I had and I was with Guruji and I was in a sharan, but I used to practice affirmations. So again, we must make our efforts, like they say. We trust in Guruji completely, but I used to do my affirmations of I am healthy, I am fit, I am happy. I used to do a lot of affirmations on a daily basis. And that, kind of mitigates again the adverse effects of past wrongs, because I'm changing my mindset and I'm changing my belief system. So to change our belief system, like they say, we have to go to the root of the problem and not just pluck away the withered leaves, which are on the surface, on the top. It is going into the root and knowing where our inadequacies lie and what is causing us to behave in a certain pattern again and again. So to go through the root and really break free from our habitual problems that we have, the habitual tendencies, I should say, not problems, but tendencies. So just as a house can be fitted with a copper rod to absorb the shock of lightning, so the bodily temple can be benefited by various protective measures. Ages ago, our yogis discovered that pure metals emit an astral light, which is powerfully counteractive to negative poles of the planets. Subtle electrical and magnetic radiations are constantly circulating in the universe. When a man's body is being aided, he does not know it. When it is being disintegrated, he's still in ignorance. Can he do anything about it? This problem received attention from our rishis. They found helpful not only a combination of metals, but also plants, and most effective of all, faultless jewels of not less than 2 carats. The preventative uses of astrology have seldom been seriously studied outside of India. One little known fact is that the proper jewels, metals, or plant preparations are valueless unless the required weight is secured and unless these remedial agents are worn next to the skin. Sir, of course, I shall take your advice and get a bangle. I am intrigued at the thought of outwitting a planet. This is very interesting. Once I was wearing a silver bangle, a kada. It was not silver, sorry, it was metal bangle, kada jo the Gurdwara se. And Guruji said, it was very stylish. It was not that regular, round. It was kind of zigzag. तो गुरुजी कहते हैं कि पाया मैं क्या गुरुजी मेटल कादे वास्ते मैं क्या एवी प्रोटेक्शन के वैसे पाया जी ornamental. He said चल एक और बनवा, and he gave me an exact weight, and then he said मैं तेनु bless कर देना. So next time I went, he blessed those bangles. So it's just something that not to be, obviously absorbed by everyone, but it was certainly for some kind of protection. So, sir, of course, I shall take your advice and get a bangle. I'm intrigued at the thought of outwitting a planet. For general purposes, I counsel the use of an armlet made of gold, silver, and copper. But for a specific purpose, I want you to get one of silver and lead. Sri Yukteswara added careful instructions. Guruji, what specific purpose do you mean? The stars are about to take an unfriendly interest in you. Mukunda, fear not. Excuse me. I remember one more thing, that Guruji was very much in favor of us wearing real jewelry and not artificial jewelry. You said, asli paya karo. And that also has some kind of maybe impact on us. So he was very much in favor, because I used to wear a lot of costume jewelry back in the day. And, match karne ke liye apne har kapdon ko. So he used to say, tu na asli paya kar, nakli chhad de. So whatever that means, some things are obviously very abstract. The stars are about to take an unfriendly interest in you, Mukunda. Fear not. You shall be protected. In about a month, your liver will cause you much trouble. The illness is scheduled to last for 6 months, but your use of an astrological armlet will shorten the period to 24 days. I sought out a jeweler the next day, and as soon wearing the bangle, my health was excellent. Master's prediction slipped from my mind. He left Serampur to visit Benares. 30 days after our conversation, I felt a sudden pain in the region of my liver. The following weeks were a nightmare of excruciating pain. Reluctant to disturb my guru, I thought I would bravely endure my trial alone. But 23 days of torture weakened my resolution. I entrained for Benares. There Sri Yukteswara greeted me with unusual warmth, but gave me no opportunity to tell him my woes in private. Many devotees visited Master that day, just for a darshan. Ill and neglected, I sat in a corner. It was not until after their evening meal that all guests had departed. My guru summoned me to the octagonal balcony of the house. You must have come about your liver's disorder. Sri Yukteswara's gaze was averted. He walked to and fro, occasionally intercepting the moonlight. Let me see. You have been ailing for 24 days, haven't you? Yes, sir. Please do the stomach exercise I have taught you. If you knew the extent of my suffering, Master, you would not ask me to exercise. Nevertheless, I made a feeble attempt to obey him. You say you have pain. I say you have none. How can such contradictions exist? My guru looked at me inquiringly. I was dazed and then overcome with joyful relief. No longer could I feel the continuous torment that had kept me nearly sleepless for weeks. At Sri Yukteswara's words, the agony vanished as though it had never been. I remember when I still had skin cancer and my skin was oozing and my eyes were half shut and I was in a lot of pain because my face used to sting. And Guruji said, "Theek karta hai." And when he said, "Theek karta hai," and I just looked at him, I said, "But I'm in excruciating pain." But his words, just his mere words, within days, weeks, my skin cancer was gone, totally gone. So the power of Guruji's words cannot be measured, ever. उनका एक लफ्ज कहना ही कि जा कल्याण किता, जा ऐश कर, जा खुश रहा कर. It has the power which is totally unfathomable. I started to kneel at his feet in gratitude, but he quickly prevented me. Don't be childish. Get up and enjoy the beauty of the moon over the Ganges. But Master's eyes were twinkling happily as I stood in silence beside him. I understood by his attitude that he wanted me to feel that not he, but God had been the healer. I wear even now the heavy silver and lead bangle, a memento of that day, long past, ever cherished, when I found anew that I was living with a personage indeed superhuman. On later occasions, when I brought my friends to Sri Yukteswar for healing, he invariably recommended jewels or the bangle, extolling their use as an act of astrological wisdom. So even if solitaire pante, if it's a certain, weightage, I mean, there is a satsang where, literally Guruji manifested a solitaire for a sangat, and there was a reason, because he had to bless her. And that weightage of that solitaire probably impacted her life so much that it evaded and completely evaded the, the planetary, influences that it was having on her life. So, all very mystical. So, I had been prejudiced against astrology from my childhood, partly because I observed that many people are sequentiously attached to it, and partly because of a prediction made by our family astrologer. You will marry 3 times, being twice a widower. I brooded over the matter, feeling like a goat awaiting sacrifice before the temple of triple matrimony. You may as well be resigned to your fate, my brother Nanda remarked. Your written horoscope has correctly stated that you would fly from home toward the Himalayas during your early years, but would be forcibly returned. The forecast of your marriages is also bound to be true. A clear intuition came to me one night that the prophecy was wholly false. I set fire to the horoscope scroll, placing the ashes in a paper bag on which I wrote, "Seeds of past karma cannot germinate if they are roasted in the divine fires of wisdom." Beautifully said. Must be noted, seeds of past karma cannot germinate if they are roasted in the divine fires of wisdom. So there you go. Not to be driven by any horoscopic reading, but to counter it and to kind of supersede it by the fires of wisdom, and of course our prayer, and by living in his hukam. Like you said, main tode lekh badal dena, everything changes with Guruji's just being in his sharan and just following him, truly following him in his hukam. I put the bag in a conspicuous spot. Ananta immediately read my defiant comment. You know, after Guruji healed me on my skin, he said to me, Ki phir das, kaun badda, tera astrologer ya tera guru? And I looked at him because I never mentioned that I'd gone to an astrologer. So I said, Guruji, he said, हाँ, तो पिछले साल astrologer को गई सी, उन्हें क्या सी ना December 97 के बाद तेरी life ने, उन्हें सही क्या सी, पर मैं तेरे लेख बदलते. So you cannot destroy truth as easily as you have burned this paper scroll. My brother laughed scornfully. It is a fact that on 3 occasions before I reached manhood, my family tried to arrange my betrothal. Each time I refused to fall in with the plans, knowing that my love for God was more overwhelming than my astrological persuasion from the past. The deeper the self-realization of a man, the more he influences the whole universe by subtle spiritual vibrations. This is something that we can all achieve. The deeper the self-realization of a man, the more he influences the whole universe by subtle spiritual vibrations, and the less he himself is affected by the phenomenal flux. These words and masters often return inspiringly to my mind. Occasionally, I told astrologers to select my worst periods according to planetary indications, and I would still accomplish whatever task I set myself. It is true that my success sometimes has been accompanied by extraordinary difficulties, but my conviction has always been justified. Faith in the divine protection and the right use of man's God-given will. See, our free will, our willpower is absolutely imperative for us to forge ahead. Our forces formidable beyond any the inverted bow can muster. The star inscription at one's birth, I came to understand, is not that man is a puppet of his past. His message is rather a prod to pride. The very heavens seek to rouse man's determination to be free from every limitation. God created each man as a soul, endowed with individuality, hence essential to the universal structure. Whether in the temporary role, a pillar or parasite, his freedom is final and immediate. If he so wills, it depends not on outer but inner victories. Sri Yukteswar discovered the mathematical application of a 24,000-year equinoctial cycle to our present age. The cycle is divided into an ascending arc and a descending arc, each of 12,000 years. Within each arc falls 4 yugs, or ages, called Kali, Dwarpa, Treta, and Satya, corresponding to the Greek ideas of iron, bronze, silver, and golden ages. My guru determined by various calculations that the last Kali Yuga, or the Iron Age, or the ascending arc, started about AD 500. The Iron Age, 12,000 years in duration, is a span of materialism. It ended about AD 1700. That year ushered in Dwarpa Yuga, a 2,400-year period of electrical and atomic energy developments, the age of telegraph, radio, airplanes, and other space annihilators. The 3,600 period of Treta Yuga will start in AD 4100. Its age will be marked by common knowledge of telepathic communications and other time annihilators. During the 4,800 years of Satyug, final age in an ascending arc, the intelligence of a man will be completely developed. He will work in harmony with the divine plan. And this is what Guruji has actually set forth for us to do, to be in harmony with the divine plan. So he's already training us and giving us the knowledge and the wisdom to do so. A descending arc of 12,000 years, starting with a descending golden age of 4,800 years, then begins for the world. Man gradually sinks into ignorance. These cycles are the eternal rounds of Maya, the contrasts and relativities of the phenomenal universe. Man, one by one, escapes from creation's prison of duality as he awakens to consciousness of his inseparable divine unity with the Creator. Master enlarged my understanding not only of astrology, but of the world scriptures. Placing the holy texts on the spotless table of his mind, he was able to dissect them with the scalpel of intuitive reasoning and to separate errors and interpolations of scholars from the truths as originally expressed by the prophets. Fix one's vision on the end of the nose. This inaccurate interpretation of a Bhagavad Gita stanza, widely accepted by Eastern Pandits and Western translators, used to arouse Master's droll criticism. The path of a yogi is as singular enough as it is, he remarked. Why counsel him that he must also make himself cross-eyed? The true meaning of nasigram is the origin of the nose, not end of the nose. The nose begins at the point between the two eyebrows, the seat of spiritual vision. There. Because of one Sankhya aphorism, Ishwar Ashiddha, a Lord of creation cannot be deduced or God is not proved. Many scholars call it the whole philosophy atheistical. The verse is not nihilistic, Sri Yukteswar explained. It merely signifies that to the unenlightened man, dependent on his senses for all judgments, proof of God must remain unknown and therefore non-existence. True Sankhya follows with unshakable insight, born of meditation. Understand that the Lord is both existent and knowable. Master compounded the Christian Bible with a beautiful clarity. It was from my Hindu guru, unknown to the roll call of Christian membership, that I learned to perceive the deathless essence of the Bible and to understand the truth in Christ's assertion, surely the most thrillingly intransigent ever uttered. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word shall not pass away. The great masters of India mold their lives by the same godly ideals which animated Jesus. These men are his proclaimed kin. Whosoever shall do the will of my Father, which is in heaven, the same is my brother, sister, and mother. If you continue in my word, Christ pointed out, then are ye my disciples indeed, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. So when the more we go closer to Guruji's truth, like he said, naam मांग लो. जब हम सचमुच नाम मांग लेते हैं, really, कि मुझे सिर्फ नाम दे दो गुरुजी, and let that naam become my guide. So that truth is what sets us free, what liberates us from this Maya Jal. For free man, oh, Lord of themselves, the Yogi Christ of India, are part of the immortal fraternity. Those who have attained a liberating knowledge of the One, Father. The Adam and Eve story is incomprehensible to me. I observed with considerable heat one day in my early struggles with the allegory. Why did God punish not only the guilty pair, but also the innocent unborn generations? Master was more amused by my vehemence than my ignorance. Genesis is deeply symbolic and cannot be grasped by a literal interpretation, he explained. It's the tree of life, is the human body. The spinal cord is like an upturned tree with man's hair as its roots, and afferent and effervent nerves as branches. The tree of the nervous system bears many enjoyable fruits or sensations of sights, sound, smell, taste, and touch. In these, man may rightfully indulge, but he was forbidden the experience of sex, the apple, at the center of the bodily garden. The serpent represents the coiled up spinal energy which stimulates the sex nerves. Adam is reason and Eve is feeling. When the emotion or Eve consciousness in any human being is overpowered by the sex impulse, his reason or Adam also succumbs. God created the human species by materializing the bodies of man and woman through the force of his will. He endowed the new species with the power to create children in a similar, immaculate, or divine manner. Because his manifestation in the individualized soul had hitherto been limited to animals, instinct-bound and lacking the potentialities of full reason, God made the first human bodies, symbolically called Adam and Eve. To these four advantages, upward evolution, he transferred the souls of divine essence of two animals. In Adam, or man, reason predominated. In Eve, or woman, feeling was ascendant. So that's why they say, generally speaking, that men are predominated by their reasoning and logical mind, whereas woman is more emotional and she is driven by her emotions. So thus was expressed the duality or the polarity which underlies the phenomenal worlds. Reason and feeling remain in a heaven of cooperative joy so long as the human mind is not tricked by the serpentine energy of animal propensities. The human body was therefore not solely a result of evolution from beasts, but was produced by an act of special creation by God. The animal forms were too crude to express full divinity. The human being was uniquely given a tremendous mental capacity, the 1,000-petaled lotus of the brain, as well as acutely awakened occult centers in the spine. God, or the divine consciousness present within the first created pair, counseled them to enjoy all human sensibilities, but not to put their concentration on touch sensations. These were banned in order to avoid, so that's why people have really, really misinterpreted, the man being the hunter also, and therefore, they don't believe in monogamy and all the rest of it. But actually, God's sensibilities, and his reason to create man was far more superior than we interpret. These were banned in order to avoid the development of the sex organs, which would enmesh humanity in the inferior animal method of propagation. The warning not to revive subconsciously present bestial memories was not heeded. Resuming the way of brute procreation, Adam and Eve fell from the state of heavenly joy natural to the original perfect man. Knowledge of good and evil refers to the cosmic dualistic compulsion. Falling under the way of Maya, through misuse of his feeling and reason, or even Adam consciousness, man relinquishes his right to enter the heavenly garden of divine self-sufficiency. The personal responsibility of every human being is to restore his parents or dual nature to a unified harmony or Eden. As Sri Yukteswar ended his discourse, I glanced with new respect at the pages of Genesis. That's why everything is perfect. The Bible, the Quran, the Gita is absolutely perfect. It's impeccable to the very core. It's man's interpretation which has flaws and brings flaws into every religion. The word of God has to be perfect. So as Sri Yukteswar ended his discourse, I glanced with new respect at the pages of Genesis. Dear Master, I said, for the first time I feel a proper filial obligation toward Adam and Eve. I'm going to just go straight into chapter 17, Sasi and the Three Sapphires. This is a very short, extremely short, 3 pages. Because you and my son think so highly of Swami Sri Yukteswara, I will take a look at him. The tone of voice used by Dr. Narayan Chandra Roy implied that he was humoring the whim of half-wits. I concealed my indignation in the best traditions of the proselyter. My companion, a veterinary surgeon, was a confirmed agnostic. His young son, Santosh, had implored me to take an interest in his father. So far, my invaluable aid had been a bit on the invisible side. Dr. Roy accompanied me the following day to the Serampur Hermitage. After Master had granted him a brief interview, marked for the most part by a stoic silence on both sides, the visitor brusquely departed. Why bring a dead man to the ashram? Sri Yukteswar looked at me inquiringly as soon as the door had closed on the Calcutta skeptic. Sir, the doctor is very much alive, but in a short time he will be dead. I was shocked. Sir, this will be a terrible blow to his son. Santosh yet hopes for time to change his father's materialistic views. I beseech you, Master, to help the man. Very well, for your sake. My guru's face was impassive. The proud horse doctor is far gone in diabetes, although he does not know it. In 15 days, he will take to his bed. The physicians will give up for lost. The physicians will give him up for lost. His natural time to leave this earth is 6 weeks exactly from today. Due to your intercession, however, on that date he will recover. But there is one condition. You must get him to wear an astrological bangle. He will doubtless object as violently as one of his horses before an operation, Master chuckled. After a silence, during which I wondered how Santosh and I could best employ the arts of cajolery on the recalcitrant doctor, Sri Yukteswar made further disclosures. As soon as the man gets well, advise him not to eat meat. He will not heed this counsel, however, and in 6 months, just as he is feeling at his best, he will drop dead. Even a 6-month extension of life is granted him only because of your plea. The following day, I suggested to Santosh that he order an armlet at his jeweler's. It was ready in a week, but Dr. Roy refused to put it on. I am in the best of health. You will never impress me with these astrological superstitions. The doctor glanced at me belligerently. I recalled with amusement that Master had justifiably compared the man to a bulky horse. Another 7 days passed. The doctor, suddenly ill, meekly consented to wear the bangle. 2 weeks later, the physician in attendance told me that his patient's case was hopeless. He supplied harrowing details of the ravages inflicted by diabetes. I shook my head. My guru had said that after sickness lasting 1 month, Dr. Roy will be well. The physician stared at me incredulously, but he sought me out a fortnight later with an apologetic air. Dr. Roy has made a complete recovery, he exclaimed. It is the most amazing case in my experience. Never before have I seen a dying man show such an inexplicable comeback. Your guru must indeed be a healing prophet. After one interview with Dr. Roy, during which I repeated Sri Yukteswar's advice about a meatless diet, I did not see the man again for 6 months. He stopped for a chat one evening as I sat on the piazza of my family home on Gurpur Road. Tell you, teacher, that by eating meat frequently, I have wholly regained my strength. His unscientific ideas on diet have not influenced me. It was true that Dr. Roy looked a picture of health. But the next day, Santosh came running to me from his home on the next block. This morning, father dropped dead. This case was one of my strange experiences with Master. He healed a rebellious veterinary surgeon in spite of his disbelief and extended the man's natural term on earth by 6 months just because of my earliest supplication. Sri Yukteswar was boundless in his kindness when confronted by the urgent prayer of a devotee. And this is so true for Guruji also. As I remember, hum kuch mangte the Guruji, and Guruji always said one thing, apne vase to sab mangte ne, dusre vase mango. So this supplication that we make, Guruji unko theek kar do, it comes with a certain, of course, certain kind of condition. Usko bolo theek hai, lekin alcohol chhod de, ya meat chhod de, ya jo kar de. So to embrace that hukam is up to us. He has granted us a life extension, but to embrace the hukam is absolutely imperative. If we don't, then of course that 6 months later, if he didn't, he dropped dead. So Guruji gives us that chance to kind of, refine ourselves and to go on his path. But then when we don't follow his hukam, then of course we have to meet with the consequences. It was my proudest privilege to bring college friends to meet my guru. Many of them would lay aside, at least in the ashram, their fashionable academic cloak of religious skepticism. One of my friends, Sasi, spent a number of happy weekends in Serampur. Master became immensely fond of the boy and lamented that his private life was wild and disorderly. Sasi, unless you reform, one day hence you will be dangerously ill. Sri Yukteswar gazed at my friend with affectionate exasperation. Mukunda is the witness. Don't say later that I didn't warn you. Sasi laughed. Master, I will leave it to you to entrust the sweet charity of Cosmos in my own sad case. My spirit is willing, but my will is weak. You are my only savior on earth. I believe in nothing else. At least you should wear a 2-carat blue sapphire. It will help you. I cannot afford one. Anyhow, dear Guruji, if trouble comes, I fully believe you will protect me. In a year, you will bring 3 sapphires, Sri Yukteswara replied cryptically. They will be of no use then. Variations on this conversation took place regularly. I can't reform, Sasi would say in comical despair, and my trust in you, Master, is more precious to me than any stone. A year later, as I was visiting my guru at the Calcutta home of his disciple, Narayan Babu, about 10 o'clock in the morning, as Sri Yukteswar and I was sitting quietly in the second floor parlor, I heard the front door open. Master straightened stiffly. Is it that Sasi? He remarked gravely. The year is now up. Both his lungs are gone. He has ignored my counsel. Tell him I don't want to see him. Half stunned by Sri Yukteswar's sternness, I raced down the stairway. Sasi was ascending. Oh, Mukunda, I do hope Master is here. I had a hunch he might be. Yes, but he doesn't wish to be disturbed. Sasi burst into tears and brushed past me. He threw himself at Sri Yukteswar's feet, placing there 3 beautiful sapphires. Omniscient Guru, the doctors say I have galloping tuberculosis. They give me no longer than 3 more months. I humbly implore your aid. I know you can heal me. Isn't it a bit late now to be worrying over your life? Depart with your jewels. Their time of usefulness is past. See, Guruji ka jo meher hoti hai, wo bhi time hota hai. Guruji used to say that actually quite often. He used to say, Guru ki jo meher hundi hai, oda ek time hunda hai. Iska ki jadon main कहना आया करो और मेरा हुक्म फॉलो किया करो, वो एक टाइम पीरियड होता है. तो करो, जो उन्होंने बोला वो करो. So now it's useless. Master then sat sphinx-like in an unrelenting silence, punctuated by the boy's sobs for mercy. An intuitive conviction came to me that Sri Yukteswara was merely testing the depth of Sasi's faith in the divine healing power. I was not surprised a tense hour later when Master turned a sympathetic gaze on my prostrate friend. Get up, Sasi. What a commotion you make in other people's houses. Return your sapphires to the jewelers. They are unnecessary expense now, but get an astrological bangle and wear it. Fear not. In a few weeks you shall be well. So this is again Guruji's meher, and it's his mercy and his compassion towards his fellow, towards his devotees. Sasi's smile illumined his tear-marred face like sudden sun over a sodden landscape. Beloved Guru, I shall take the medicines prescribed by the doctors. No, sorry. Beloved Guru, shall I take the medicines prescribed by the doctors? Sri Yukteswar's glance was longanimous. Just as you wish. Drink them or discard them, it doesn't matter. It is more possible for the sun and moon to interchange their positions than for you to die of tuberculosis. He added abruptly. Go now, before I change my mind. जब गुरु की मेहर होती है, कहते हैं वो लहरें चलती हैं, तभी कहते थे आया करो, तोनू पता नहीं मैं तोनू कदों bless करना है. With an agitated bow, my friend hastily departed. I visited him several times during the next few weeks and was aghast to find his condition increasingly worse. Sasi could not last through the night. These words from his physician and the spectacle of my friend, now reduced almost to a skeleton, sent me post-haste to Serampur. My guru listened coldly to my tearful report. Why do you come here to bother me? You've already heard me assure Sasi of his recovery. I bowed before him in great awe and retreated to the door. Sri Yukteswar said no parting word, but sank into silence. His unwinking eyes half open. Their vision fled to another world. This is so relatable to Guruji, everything. I mean, he would be sitting with you, but his vision would suddenly flee to another world. He would be blessing someone somewhere, maybe in another continent, another world. We don't know. But Guruji was like that. We used to see him and his eyes half open. He was sitting there in the physical, but he was in the yonder. I returned at once to Sasi's home in Calcutta. With astonishment, I found my friend sitting up drinking milk. Oh, Mukunda, what a miracle. 4 hours ago, I felt Master's presence in the room. My terrible symptoms immediately disappeared. I feel as though through his grace, I'm entirely well. In a few weeks, Sasi was stouter and in better health than ever before. That's why Guruji is also omnipresent. He can be sitting here, or we may be sitting in one satsang, but he's in every satsang. And he is completely showering his grace on every of his devotee. But there's so much learning that, we must follow his hukam. It comes to that. Naam manglo, like Guruji said, कि चंगी चीज मांग लो, बस मेरे हुक्म च रहो. और चंगी चीज मांग लो, कोई मेरे को असली चीज नहीं लेना आंदा. But his singular reaction to his healing and an ungrateful tinge, he seldom visited Sri Yukteswar again. That's how the human selfish heart is. जो मिल गया, उसके बाद हम गुरुजी के पास जाते नहीं हैं वापस, क्योंकि मिल गया जो चाहिए था. My friend told me one day that he was so deeply regretted his previous mode of life that he was now ashamed to face Master. I could only conclude that Sasi's illness had the contrasting effect of stiffening his will and impairing his manners. The first 2 years of my course at Scottish Church College were drawing to a close. My classroom attendance had been very spasmodic. What little studying I did was only to keep peace with my family. My 2 private tutors came regularly to my house. I was regularly absent. I can discern at least this one regularity in my scholastic career. In India, 2 successful years of college bring an intermediate arts diploma. The student may then look forward to another 2 years and his AB degree. The intermediate arts final examinations loomed ominously ahead. I fled to Puri, where my guru was spending a few weeks, vaguely hoping that he would sanction my non-appearance at the finals. I related my embarrassing unpreparedness. But Master smiled consolingly. You have wholeheartedly pursued your spiritual duties and could not help neglecting your college work. Apply yourself diligently to your books for the next week. You shall get through your ordeal without failure. So he had blessed his academics. I returned to Calcutta, firmly suppressing all reasonable doubts that occasionally arose with unnerving ridicule. Surveying the mountain of books on my table, I felt like a traveler lost in the wilderness. A long period of meditation brought me a labor-saving inspiration. Opening each book at random, I studied only those pages which lay thus exposed. Pursuing this course during 18 hours a day for a week, I considered myself entitled to advise all succeeding generations in the art of cramming. The following days in examination halls were a justification of my seemingly haphazard procedure. I passed all the tests, though by a hairbreadth. The congratulations of my friends and family were ludicrously mixed with ejaculations betraying their astonishment. On his return from Puri, Sri Yukteswara gave me a pleasant surprise. Your Calcutta studies are now over. I will see that you pursue your last 2 years of university work right here in Serampur. I was puzzled. Sir, there is no Bachelor of Arts course in this town. Serampur College, the sole institution of higher learning, offer only a 2-year course in intermediate arts. Master smiled mischievously. I am too old to go about collecting donations to establish an AB college for you. I guess I shall have to arrange the matter through someone else. 2 months later, Professor Howells, president of Serampur College, publicly announced that he had succeeded in raising sufficient funds to offer a 4-year course. Serampur College became a branch affiliation of the University of Calcutta. I was one of the first students to enroll in Serampur as an AB candidate. Guruji, how kind you are to me. I have been longing to leave Calcutta and be near you every day in Serampur. Professor House does not dream how much he owes to your silent help. Sri Yukteswara gazed at me with mock severity. Now you won't have to spend so many hours on trains. What a lot of free time for your studies. Perhaps you will become less of a last-minute crammer and more of a scholar. But somehow his tone lacked conviction. So he knows everything, and he can make the impossible possible to suit our convenience, and he can heal us even when we are sick and the doctors have given up hope. Like he said, "Main the doctor fail karti hai." He can make anything, and we know it. But we just need to remain connected and keep loving him and keep believing in him. Without a grain of doubt, it has to be in us. We need to be breathing his grace minute to minute. And I've realized again, no matter what the outer environment, once the inner environment, the inner landscape of our being is calm, we can counter anything. in life. We have the free will to choose what kind of life we want to live. Trust me when he said, Yokteshwara, that, you need to do your bit. You really do. You can't completely be complacent. We need to work on ourselves. And then God works on us even more profoundly because he sees the efforts that we make to improve ourselves. Thank you so much, Jai Guruji. Beautiful reading. I hope we're meeting tomorrow. I know it's an exception because I missed yesterday.
Yes, Auntie.
So I am willing to be here tomorrow if you guys are. So we will see you tomorrow
surely.
on Sunday.
So we are meeting same time.
Same time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Auntie. Beautiful reading.
Thank you. Jai Guruji.
Jai Guruji.
Jai Guruji.